Recording. Yay! Welcome, Amy Schuber. I'm so happy to be with you here online in our Peacemakers gathering. I want to take a minute to introduce you to our listeners. So I know you as a friend and colleague and a sister peacemaker, but like so many successful women, you are weaving together many threads, and one of them is as a business strategist and a women's business coach, which is such an important part of our world today as women are rising higher and higher. You're also a podcaster, which I'm really interested in learning more about, and you're the founder of Inspired Conversations, which has a really successful background of more than 5 years. So welcome, and I'm so happy to have you here, and we want to learn so much more about all the things you do.
Oh, hi, Janet. Thank you so much for having me. It's a real honor to be in this conversation with you. And I love how our paths crossed and how we're weaving it in now into this time. And I love that. So thank you for having me. It's a pleasure to be with you.
Thank you. I'm feeling so blessed. So where to start? I mean, the umbrella that we're meeting under is peacemaking. And I'm wondering, in your particular unique experience, you've been podcasting for a long time, and you've interviewed over almost 500 people at this point. So I'm kind of humbled interviewing the interviewer. Does it feel funny to be in that seat?
You know, it used to, but I've been on the other side quite a bit. Okay. But it always feels a little different because I'm used to being the one leading. But I actually love being in this seat as well, because I love witnessing others and I love sharing myself, right? And having a voice on this side of things and in a different conversation, right? So I'm always leading the conversation, and it seems to align with what I'm up to always. However, I love being led by someone and being guided into what they're up to, like for you with peacemaking and being invited into this conversation, which, you know, at first I'm like, really? Me, a peacemaker? And okay, yeah, let's go with this and see the flow. And so, yeah, I appreciate it, but it is a little different, of course.
Yeah, well, here's a little secret. You can lead if you want to. So I'm not being really dominant about it. So there's so many threads to follow. So you just mentioned about, things always align for you too. And one of the things I've heard you say is the first woman you inspire is yourself. Mm-hmm. And that feels like that's alive in the conversation. It also feels really true for peacemaking. We can't just go do peace for somebody else if we don't have it inside. Can you talk about that at all?
Yeah. Well, so interestingly enough, when I started my business, the thing that really aligned with me or connected me was, I was searching for what it was that I was going to start as a business, and I was leading towards coaching. And I had heard Maria Shriver at the Women's Conference in California many years ago. She read a Hopi poem. And at the time I was like searching and asking everybody, what should I do? What should I call it? You know, I was asking outside myself, not listening to my own guidance, because I wasn't even hearing my own guidance, quite frankly. And she read the poem at the conference, and the very last line was, "We are the ones we've been waiting for." And it just struck me, and I still get chills when I hear that line. And it struck me like, oh, I'm the one I've been waiting for. I got to stop asking everybody what it is I'm up to. And I had started a different business at that time. It was more of an online baby blanket business, creating and putting my artistry into a product, which was where I thought I wanted to go, being more creative. Because that was my first inquiry when I was getting into entrepreneurship, was I want to be more creative in my work. And I was coming from a corporate background. And so it looked like that at the time. And then it quickly evolved. But that line has stuck with me. You know, we are the ones we've been waiting for. You are the one you've been waiting for. No one can tell you what's calling your heart. No one can tell you, what it is that's on your mind that you want to like put out in the world. And it's that whisper, and we're the only ones that know it. Until we tell people what that is, nobody knows, right? And some of us keep it a secret our whole lives, and you hear later, I wish I would have been more artistic, or I wish I would have moved my body or danced. I wish I would have left that job. We hear that, but we have this opportunity to connect with ourselves and really express it into the world, whatever that looks like, whether it's in your career or maybe taking a risk and doing it outside your career and starting a business. It could look like anything. And it's not always about business and entrepreneurship. It happens anywhere. It's just creative expression is really our soul expression. And so I come back to that line over and over, and that line comes back to me in the most magical ways to remember and remind me, you're the one you've been waiting for. And I couldn't have asked that, but I know it's on my path because it comes back in the most magical ways. So I find, it's our truth. We've got to come back to ourselves in all of this. And that thread into peacemaking is, if we're not at peace with ourselves, how can we go out and be peaceful in the world? I mean, we can see the people who aren't at peace with themselves, just the way they're behaving in the world. I mean, there's so many examples, right? And it can be in our own family. It can be in a colleague situation. It's like everywhere right now. And I think we're really being challenged to align with ourselves. It's not about anyone doing it for us or teaching us. Maybe people teach us, but we've got to grab that and take it and activate it in our own world, in our own lives.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's kind of all about me at this point. we have to be the center of our attention and heal ourselves first.
Absolutely. And I think that has such a bad rap, right? It's all about you. We've blamed people or judged people when it's like, oh, it's all about you. You're not thinking about anybody else in this moment. And it's at this time, it means something different. It has to be all about us, because if we're not in alignment with whatever it is we're creating and stepping out into, when we actually step out into it, it's going to reverberate so differently, and then we'll feel out of alignment and we won't like it. And maybe we'll switch things, or we won't feel the confidence that we really need to feel in ourselves if we're out of alignment. So we've really got to ground and connect with ourselves and be really truthful as we're stepping out. And I think that's the real peace, because peacemaking looks so many different ways,
Yes.
right?
Mm-hmm.
And so I think being at peace with ourselves, even in the fire, knowing our truth and being confident in who we are right here, right now, and always is the goal, and it's taken me a while to get there. And it's easy, but it's not simple. It's simple, but it's not easy. This is the work. I feel this is the work we're all here to be and do, is to know ourselves and be grounded in ourselves.
Right. And it feels like, too, we never really get there. We're always evolving, because there's always another layer.
Yeah. I mean, I just had this example where I did a bunch of inner work yesterday, and I was feeling really rattled, waking up this morning feeling really good and connected, and then something comes in, swoops in to take me off. I'm like, whoa. And okay, I'm going to realign, because I was right there, and I'm not going to let that energy take me out, because it's not mine. And I think when we have this, the stronger we are in our confidence with who we are and what we're creating and space holding in the world, the quicker we can come back and not take that on. And, I'll be honest, a couple months ago, that would have reeled me into a whole different thing. I probably would be showing up in that conversation with you right now, rattled. But no, it's like, okay, that's not mine. I'm good. I know what I'm up to, and that's not mine. And I feel like as peacemakers, we are space holders. Whatever the spaces we're creating, the creativity or the self-expression, that's the peacemaking. If we're at peace with ourselves and our voice and our art and our business and what we're doing in the world and our mission, if we're holding space really strongly, the peacemaking comes from that. That vibe reverberates out, and that impacts people, and that's where I feel like greater peace can be accomplished. And it all comes back to a confidence in ourselves.
Yeah. So that takes me down a couple of different roads. One, I mean, as a working artist, I really presence creativity as an important pillar. And it's been a really spiraling place for me to learn that creativity is just life. My whole life is my canvas. There really isn't anything outside of creative expression once you embrace it and really live it fully, including conversations about peacemaking or setting the table or making dinner or even doing the dishes can have a very, a very potent, fertile place in it, where that's where ideas can get, can soak and get
Yeah.
rooted.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, like you just said, creative expression is life.
Mhm.
Life is creative expression. And if we're suppressing that part of us, if that expression isn't being heard by us and we're not putting it out in the world, whatever it looks like, a song, a painting, a meditation, a business, and whatever it is, a handbag that you want to create, it doesn't matter what it is. If that self-expression is being squashed, then we're out of alignment with ourselves and we're not at peace. I mean, it's so subtle. You think, oh, what? I didn't go for that walk that my mind or my soul is like, go out in the woods or go walk down the street or go sit in a coffee shop today instead of your kitchen table. Those little things are us getting in alignment and the peacemaking. And like you said, those are where the ideas come from. And I think that's what we're suffering from right now, our lack of self-expression, because we're so caught up in the busy of the world, and that's driving us versus us driving us.
Mm-hmm. There's a quote I'm thinking about where I can't remember who it was. It might have been the Dalai Lama. I'll have to look that up, but was asked how much do you meditate? And it's at least an hour a day, unless I'm really busy, and then it's 2 hours, because we think we're saving time by skipping the walk to the sunrise or not having that, soak in the tub or whatever it is. But at the end, it doesn't really save us anything.
Right. And we're more productive. The longer you connect with yourself, the more productive you can be in that hour, 4 hours, 20 minutes, whatever. Exactly. We can get online, do our emails and everything really quickly, because I don't think we acknowledge how much time we waste thinking about things and chit-chatting and wasting time. When we're focused, we're really focused. And I think that comes from a deeper connection with ourselves. Yeah. And I think that's what's shifting right now on the planet. And I think it's creating some opposite of peace, right? We're all a little triggered by it. And it's okay, because it's up right now. And our way of being and our way of doing is changing. And it's not the old ways. It's not the hustle, hit the ground running. It's get in your creative expression. The ideal will come, and then act on it. Go sit at your computer and work on it. Go to your canvas and paint it. I get the creative expression when I'm painting. I'm not a working artist like you, but that's part of my creative expression. I sit and I just paint, and it's just for me. And when I let myself go and express that way, I get some really good ideas, and then it's up to me to move forward on them and be in the flow. And that's the next piece, right? Like, we've got to be in action. We get those ideas once we connect with ourselves and we get that spark. We've got to be in action with it too. So there's a couple of steps, right? It's like allowing yourself to be with yourself and connect and hear, and then act on it as well.
Right. So this sounds like it's probably the foundation of your women's business coaching. Is that so, helping women to reconnect to their guidance and their creativity?
It is. I mean, if I could say it in one word, it's alignment. We're so out of alignment, and I think we all know this. It's really, you can be more productive in your business when you start connecting with yourself and you get in alignment with yourself. And it's not what people think. It's all, we think we want to work on our business or increase profits or, help our sales staff or whatever it is. But really, we've got to connect with ourselves, and then we can connect with the vision, and then we can connect with all the actions that are happening out there. But if your business is out of alignment, we've got to look at ourselves and look inner. And this is more entrepreneurial, right? But if you are the center of your business and it comes from you, that's where we've got to reconnect. And it's not what people think, it's that holding space. What I do is hold space for people. I hold space in the energy of what it is they want to create. And then what comes up comes up. And sometimes it's about the business and sometimes it's not. And that's life, right? Everything is intertwined and woven together, and recognizing that is also the key.
As a woman who left my corporate marketing job in my, I was actually turning 40 when I left. I spent some time with this idea that, business was kind of a bad word, and I've come really full circle to understanding that that is simply not true. It's how we run our businesses and the energy that so, when they're run from the heart, we need to feed our families. We need to express ourselves. And for many of us, a business is the right way to express. It's just another creative vehicle. So I love that there are people out there to support, particularly women in business, because it's been very challenging for many of us.
Yeah.
We walked into a pretty masculine paradigm, and many of us thought we had to do it that way. And that's what's been more confusing really than anything else. Trying to be somebody that you're not.
Yeah. And I feel like that's writing itself right now. I mean, I feel I have a similar story, left corporate because I was so uncomfortable in doing it. Now that I look back, it's been about 15 years since I left corporate. Now that I look back, I understand why I was uncomfortable. At the time, I couldn't put the language to it, but it's the masculine, and I couldn't conform to just creating in that way. And it just felt so gross to me. And so finally, burnout happened because I was doing it that way. And so I ended up, taking a risk and actually leaving my job. And that's what started, opened me up into this world, but it's of entrepreneurship. But it's interesting. I feel like it's writing itself right now. And there's such power in having your own business and creating and being honored and being paid well, because that's what's meant to happen. We are supposed to have our soul expressed out in the world confidently, and then have ourselves be, paid handsomely for it and honored for that. And I think the shift is happening where, it's kind of like that starving artist, but it goes beyond artistry. It's like starving creative expression, however that looks. And I believe that's shifting and changing. And I think it's a deep rooted belief in, just in everywhere that's shifting. And I think that's shifting and changing, and we're seeing it open up a little bit more now. And the more we believe in ourselves and the more we step out there, the more it shifts and changes.
And that's a relief, because it shows up in healing arts as well, and all the giving, services where people, I think as women, it's an old story. We don't need anymore. We're ready to shed it, and it is shedding, thank goodness.
Yes.
And we want to be really grateful and consciously keep letting it go, because it's out of what I would call right relation to not put yourself in the circle, to not be as worthy of all the things that we try to help others get for ourselves as well. And then that helps bring peace within, so that we can be peaceful on the outside. So I love how right now everything comes back to peace for me.
Yeah, of course.
Circle of it, and obsessed with it. So the other thing I wanted to learn more about was, so you've got your business coaching piece, and then the podcasting feels like a really interesting, giving you like a bird's eye view, because you're interviewing a lot of thought leaders, aren't you? Joe Vitale is one of them. I really listened a couple times to Tara Trent's interview, because her Awakened Woman piece really felt very alive for me. And then last year, when Mandaza Kandema was here, you interviewed him, and he's of course a friend and colleague who I'm very delighted to support. So you get to see hear a lot of voices, and there must be some pretty interesting threads. Do you have any you want to share?
Absolutely. So thank you. You brought Mandaza forth. So thank you for that. That was a beautiful connection and interview. I love his energy and his message. It's interesting. When I first started it was an act of creative expression, to be honest. I mean, someone had said it's been 5 years, and 5 years ago, someone said, "Oh, you should do a telesummit, to gather attention and put your platform out there." And I was like, okay. And I gathered some really amazing people, some noteworthy people, and I had a telesummit, and then it was over. And I thought, now what? I love these conversations. I love to be in the conversation. And so someone said, "You should start a podcast." And I said, "Well, what's that?" And so that's how it really evolved. And so it's not like a business conversation. It doesn't feed right into the business language of what I do and my work. However, the conversations absolutely lead into that for me, because it's how we show up in the world. And part of it is I love being in conversations with people. I love hearing what people are up to. And I feel like if you can get something out of these conversations, one thing that you can put into your life and put into play to help elevate you, then it's worth it. And it could be about anything. It could be about business or health or, self connection, any wellness. It's kind of all those conversations. But going back to your question, the thing that aligns with me or that happens is that I find people are always talking about the same thing. So it comes back to alignment, that word. And it surprises me because sometimes I'll have a few interviews in one day and I'm like, wow, we were talking a little bit about marketing today. We were talking about confidence today. We were talking about, maybe social media.
Yeah.
And the theme of them will be alignment. Or the theme will be, being yourself. It's so interesting how it's the same theme, just in different words. And what's been interesting after having so many conversations is that we're all talking about the same thing.
Yeah.
We're all striving for the same thing. And ultimately, it's like that peace, internal peace. We all want to be connected to ourselves so we can go out in the world fully self-expressed. And it's interesting. I would not have expected that 5 years later. I would not have expected that there's this thread that is constant and continuous through all the conversations. And it's been really enlightening. And the collective conversation, looking back on all of them, the collective is looking for that. We're looking to have that internal peace. We might not be saying it, and it might not be such a direct verbiage to it, right? But it is what people are talking about, and it is what we're up to. And it's interesting because my podcast is pretty general. It's an umbrella with all these conversations underneath it, but it that's what rises up for me. And so it's been interesting and enlightening, definitely, because I wouldn't have ever expected that.
Right. And 5 years later, you're not bored. The conversation may be similar, but it's still very alive.
Yeah, because each conversation is unique. I mean, honestly, everyone is self-expressing. I interview people who are talking about their books and their work in the world, and they're not all talking about they're not all doing the same thing, but underneath they are, but it looks different. One person might be talking about breath work. One person might be talking about their body work or their food, right? I've had a lot of conversations about food, and some people might be talking about marketing and business. And so it's interesting because underneath it all, that's what I see and feel. And quite frankly, every conversation meets me right where I am. And that's been a real surprise because I've had some really bad days that I've had to get up and be like, oh, I have to be in this conversation with somebody today about this. And they might be someone notable who I feel like I really need to show up for. I feel like I need to show up for everyone, but just sometimes when someone has more, they're the New York Times bestseller, I don't know, I feel like, oh, they're going to really see me today. And sometimes that's when I've been the most grounded, and they've spoken straight to my heart. And I feel like, well, that was just for me today. But I realize if it's for me, it's for everyone, because I'm not the only one. I mean, that's the thing. There's a collective going on. I'm not the only one feeling what I'm feeling, and we all need to hear it.
I feel like I am so fascinated with this collective piece, and there's, I've said it a few times lately, but there's this indigenous idea that there are stories that are conscious and cognizant, and they know when they're being told. And I feel like that's the same for conversations. Certain, the big ones, the truth ones, the peace, all of the ones that are up in our culture right now, and that the work that you're doing, the work that many people are doing, contributes to that thread of connection. And it also makes me think of, I hosted a dream circle for a few years, and people would bring their individual dreams, which would have a meaning for them. But very often there was a thread in the circle that all the individual dreamers, and we could see it, it would be really, really obvious. And it would be for the community, or as Mandaza would say, it would be a global dream for the world. And I think conversations are like, they can be like lucid dreams. They can be part of the way the universe, the unseen world, is conversing with us, and how poking and getting our dialogue, just directing it in a certain way. So
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
resonate with you?
Absolutely. It's that brilliance underneath it. It feels like what was coming as you were saying that was like that rising tide to support us. And
Yeah.
I feel like I get to be the space holder for that because I have a unique perspective because I'm the one in all the conversations.
Right.
Like, so if someone's listened to every single one of my episodes, that would be amazing. And I'm sure that hasn't happened. But if someone listened to all of them, they'd be part of that too. And they'd see the thread. But
Right.
as the sitting in it with people, I feel like I have this unique perspective, just like you're going to have this unique perspective with everybody you talk to for this,
Yeah.
this collaboration. And on the other side of it, you're going to have one unique perspective of what conversation and what happened. It's obviously going to be about peacemaking, and there's probably going to be something else. And you get that perspective, which gives me the chills because you're a space holder for this particular voice that wants to come forward right now. And I think that's why it's important for us, if we feel moved to be, sharing online, starting an Instagram live, recording interviews like this, starting a podcast, sharing our voices together. I think it's really important right now. And we don't want to, we want to hold it lightly, but it's really deep, and so
I get that.
yeah.
I do get that. And I've been kind of old school, a little bit intimidated about the online piece. And I have to say, what a relief to find out it's not so hard. It's not that different from being in a circle in person. And it allows me, like, you're in California, I'm here in Innisfil. We wouldn't have this ability to connect so easily without technology. So I'm becoming a real convert. Sometimes I have to overcome some resistance, but I'm converted.
I think we're all in that same space. I will say me too. Technology can be hard, but that's the learning curve, right? Sometimes it's just the barrier to entry, and then you learn, and then all of a sudden you're going to forget that was hard for you. And with technology moving so fast, there's always something else, like I get afraid to upgrade my phones and my computer because I'm like, what if it changes and then I have to learn something new on it? I will raise my hand and say that doesn't always feel peaceful to me. So I sort of hold off on upgrading, but I think that's the connection. It brings us together, like I think of us, had this been a different time, we met in person and we may not have had this connection at another time, but here we get to sit in this conversation face to face, which is so really beautiful and brilliant. And that's how I feel about my podcast too. I've been able to connect with people. At first I just did the audio and now I do the video, but to connect like this is so powerful, and it really makes a huge difference to connect this way, even if it's just for the two people involved or the multiple people involved. It's something that's a reverberating energy that gets put out in the world, whether anyone sees it or not, in my opinion.
I feel the same way because I don't know, my job is I feel like it's to show up and connect and share, and, and then where it goes from there, we do our best to follow the energy.
Yeah, exactly. And I feel that's what peacemaking is all about, right? The clear connection with ourselves and the ability to follow and flow. And that to me is the work, the practice. I mean, I'm in it too, right? And so it's like being in the flow of the inspiration that comes to us and the connection and having the clear connection. That's the practice. And if we can be in that more times than not, that's where the peace comes from.
Yeah, and now I'm getting that piece of, to be in flow, really we have to get out of our own way. Right? We have to get out of the mind stuff and the old stories that really inhibit us from growing and expanding.
Yeah. And a part of that's been the work that I've really been steeped in right now is just trust, faith and trust in yourself and whatever you believe in. But it's the faith and trust in ourselves, because we've got the inspiration coming through and we've got to listen. So if you hear that voice saying, call Janet, we'll call her.
Totally.
Even if it's out of the blue or you haven't spoken to that person in a million years, it's like, okay, follow that, because there's something there for you. And that's the magic of life that I think we're getting back to. And holding space, like I feel like I'm a space holder for that for people,
Yep.
because we've really got to remember who we really are. And we
Mm-hmm.
can't do it when we're reacting to everything in the world, because the world is bananas right now. I mean, there is chaos and crazy, and I don't deny that. It's bananas out there. But
Yeah.
if we can connect with ourselves and be peaceful for who we are and what we're up to, that chaos won't be as impactful to us, and it won't draw us in. We won't get called into it as easily.
We won't contribute to it. So that's the other, maybe for surprising piece around peace, is that you know, to make a conscious decision to contribute to peace doesn't mean that you get to sit in a cave somewhere and meditate peacefully. It means really holding your center and being a sacred. I like the term holding space. It's one I use as well.
Mm-hmm.
Holding space for things to transform in a kind of a sacred witness way, where we're just, and it does take a lot of trust. You know, to not react is to take a lot of trust. It reminds me of that Mother Teresa quote where she says, people will do whatever, be kind anyway.
Mm-hmm.
That be kind anyway piece is part of peace. And a play on words going on here.
Well, and it's such a strength, right? It's so easy to be reactive. It's so easy to see the chaos come in and just jump right in and play along. I mean, that happened to me this morning. It was like, oh, here comes the chaos. Who are you going to be right now? And so it was like, I'm going to be peaceful, and I'm not going to react the way I could have, like maybe I have in the past. It seems familiar. But like staying centered and staying grounded. And it's split seconds, right? It's split second decisions that we're constantly making.
It is, because things change in a heartbeat. You know, 1 minute you're just peacefully baking muffins, and the next minute a lot of stuff has gone wrong.
Yeah.
And more than burning them, usually. It's something else. Yeah.
Right. And I think it's us being very clear and aware, so we can be very responsive and spontaneous about it. But when we're clear on our center and we're clear who we are, we're clear of our creative expression, we can kind of dance with it and not be taken down. Because for me, like, I feel like I've been taken down a lot because I've just engaged, you know, because I wasn't trusting myself. But there is that power in grounding and knowing and not saying anything, or engaging as meant to be engaged, right? And that just is back to the practice of, you know, you're the one you've been waiting for. You're the one, you know, and looking at our stuff as it comes up, you know, like, oops, I could have handled that better. Oops, I totally jumped into the chaos pool today. That wasn't so great, but I'll do better next time. You know, it's like just no judgment.
No judgment. Being gentle. We are ever evolving.
Yeah.
We are human, and we are striving to be better, and that's the journey.
Yeah. And I think that the peace comes from being kind to ourselves.
Exactly. You know? How many times have I seen myself be kind to everybody else and not myself? Mm-hmm. So a lot of my journey has been learning that self-care. And not, it doesn't look like necessarily pedicures. It's self-care is really honestly being gentle and letting myself be human and, you know, be who I am on purpose as best I can.
Yes. Yeah. And that self-care is the self-love, you know?
Self-love. Yeah. Amy, I can't believe our time has gone by so fast. We're at the 40-minute mark, but there's so many things I could talk to you about. Is there anything you really want to leave with that hasn't gotten said yet?
I think
about maybe what's opening up for you, what's next. Are there some next chapters giving inklings, or?
Yeah, you know, I think what's opening up for me is like everything we talked about. Like, I'm becoming more in alignment. I'm becoming more confident in my self-expression. I'm becoming more confident about who I am and my voice in the world. And that's the alignment piece. And honestly, the practice of trust and faith and my own, you know, self-trust, and also just a huge heaping of self-love every day, you know. Me too. I mean, I work in the work, you know, like I hold the space for people, but also honoring and holding the space for myself. And I think that is the biggest gift we can give ourselves. And I honestly, it's not always easy for me either, but I show up, and I'm committed to showing up, because I'm committed to, you know, shifting the world so we all have this loving, kind, peaceful place to be, because that's what we're supposed to experience here. You know, we've made
Yeah.
it, humans have made it so hard, and we're like fighting the good fight. And it's like, oh, it's not supposed to be like that. We're such loving, creative, you know, spacious beings. It's like, let's get there and allow it for ourselves. And I think for me, it's just continuing to hold the space and having one inspired conversation at a time, and, you know, putting them out there. And I think also being a little bit more bold is probably what I'm up to, and
Right.
probably sharing my creative expression in a bigger way, you know?
Mm.
So, yeah.
Yeah. I hear in that the combination of tenderness and fierceness, which we
Yeah.
are as women uh, learning to have both, to hold both at the same time.
Yeah. And
So
not be afraid of our own power, you know,
not
that
our, yeah,
fierceness,
exactly. Not be
and
afraid of our own power.
step into it and hold it, you know, strongly. I feel like that's what's happening. I'm aware of what I'm up to, and I'm aware of some of the, like, the snowball effect. I'm like, whoa, and just standing in it and holding true to it, because people are going to nudge me around of feeling that, and it's just going for it.
Mm-hmm. Well, Amy, I am just so grateful that you're in the world with your inspired conversations and your tenderness and your, what did you call it, savvy spirituality. That's where some of the fierceness comes in, I think, right? Where it's not sit in the corner and pray. It's really be out there in the world, of the world, in the world, sharing openly, authentically. And I know that the world's a better place because you're here. So thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. I feel the same way about you. And thank you for this honor of being in this peacemaker conversation with you. I really appreciate it. And I'm really proud of you for going for it and putting it out there. So thank you for
Thank
including
you.
me.
Thank you. Well, I think we're just getting started. So stay tuned. There may be another way to come back in. It does feel like a living conversation.
I love it. I can't wait
So
to see what's more.
so we won't say goodbye. We'll say till the next time. How's
Right.
that? All right.
Perfect.
All right.